they can start healing. And you can show me how to live without feeling anything.
Welcome back to our challenge podcast. No Days this week who couldn't watch the episode on time, but we're here with Fan Guy and Meg. How are you guys doing and how'd you enjoy the episode?
Good. It was hard for me. My kids were screaming about the first half through, so I sent them upstairs with fried chicken and Disney and was able to keep on keeping on.
How about you, Fan Guy?
Myself, man. It's holiday season. Everything's good. Enjoyed the episode. I think I might have been eating fried chicken like one of Meg's kids during the episode. So,
I ate way too much Bojangles. I'm like sickly full right now.
I have some crowdy in this episode regarding Kyle, but we'll get to that. First, we'll go with your ups and downs, Fan Guy. Who went up for you this episode? Who went down?
I thought about you. As a matter of fact, you were the first person I thought about. Anyway, up. Man, it's tough to say. I'm gonna just say Fessy. Way up, actually. Though, in the same breath, you can argue that the reason I think he's up, he could be down, but I digress. And then down, probably the girls that I can't even remember their names.
I feel you on that. How about you, Meg?
Up for me, honestly, was Wes. I think he's starting to get himself into a better position. And then down, I mean, it's a toss-up. I feel like I want to say Kyle went down because the double agents know that he lied, but the rest of the house doesn't know. So in that aspect, I think it put Fessy down.
Yeah, I feel the same. I'm going to put Kyle up only because I had him so down last week. I was just shitting on him, but he proved me wrong this week. He was the only one not going in the background this week, really. And down, I will put Josh, I guess. I feel like towards the end of the episode, he's already starting to crack like he always does.
Josh is always down. He's always down for me.
You ruined my game. My whole game is ruined.
Second episode too, Josh. Well, we'll start where the last episode left off, and that is Natalie choosing to stay with Wes. We said that she should, and I agree that she should.
Yeah, she did the right thing for sure. Wes is a really good competitor. And aside from that, even though he was way down politically with that vote, and it showed, Wes is the kind of player who, throughout his tenure, has shown the ability to navigate these sort of situations most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. So if there's anyone who can do it, it's him. And because Natalie was already kind of put on that boat, I don't think she was getting off by rejoining someone else. It wasn't like she was all of a sudden going to be unassociated with Wes. So you just bite the bullet, you stay with your partner, and she did absolutely the right thing, I think.
Yeah, Natalie didn't win Survivor by playing scared, Meg, so I guess this was the right decision for her because her and Wes are so similar anyway.
They are very similar, and I 100% agree that was the best move that she could have made is just to stick with him. And Wes has proven in he's always the villain. People know he's the villain, and people are going to try and take shots at him, and they just did it super early this season. But he proves himself to be one that's able to make his way through that despite the target that's on him from the get-go. And him and Natalie, I think, are going to be solid.
I agree. What did you think about her not choosing CT? I mean, CT would he have been a good partner for her?
No, I don't think so. I don't think her and CT are on the same level as far as gameplay goes, and she'd still have a target being with CT because he is a big target as well. And so I think she's better fared with a target like Wes.
Well, next we'll talk about Nani and Kyle, who, last week we said they're so similar, but
I
this
thought,
week they didn't want to be,
so
well, one of them didn't want to be a team. Go ahead, Fat Guy.
no, just it was so funny when you said last week they were so similar because we know they are, but on the show they're like we're polar opposites. And I'm cracking up. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was cracking up when they're like, we play such different games, and I'm like, no, you fucking don't. Sorry.
I mean, I was basically going to say the same thing. I just can't talk today, but
They play the same game. They weren't bad partners together. Kyle's move was interesting simply because it's not team eliminations yet or anything like that. So being with Cam doesn't necessarily provide him the safety that I think he may feel like it does, because I feel like he picked her because he thought her and Leroy were at the top of the totem pole. So it's like, oh, let me attach myself to Cam so nobody fucks with me. But it's not. That's why it's double agents. It's not really like even your teammate isn't necessarily your teammate. So I don't know.
Meg, what did you think about Nani trying to kind of put a target on Kyle?
I mean, I would be friends with Nani, but I think she's a shitty challenge player. So pretty much anything she does, like politically in the game, I feel like is not the right thing to do.
As Dave said last week, Nani was on the sauce in this episode. Do you think that had something to do with it? Because during that club scene, she was a little drunk.
She's always a messy drunk.
She's always on the sauce. She's an alcoholic for sure.
And she's not a not messy drunk either. She is a messy drunk. Like she gets sloppy when she drinks.
That's why I'd be friends with her. It's so entertaining.
Yeah, she is entertaining. I mean, look, you can sum up Nani, but she was super excited to get paired with Josh. She might be the only person in that whole fucking house that can legitimately say that they would be happy to be paired with Josh. So I don't know. I could never understand what Nani's thinking.
In the whole CBS, like MTV, Viacom family, the only person to be excited to pair up with Josh.
Yeah, probably. Maybe Casey.
Casey, yeah.
Well, another mess in this episode, as we saw throughout, was Joseph, and Big T was another one trying to put a target on him, and rightfully so. And she was very entertaining in doing so.
I think that was a great move for her. Awful move for him. Great move for her.
Why do you think he... Go ahead, Hank.
Big T lived up to what we said she would last week. Like, every one of us was like, she may not be the biggest competitor. We don't know yet. I think she's going to surprise some people because I think she has a few seasons now to understand how competitive it is. But she's a gamer, man. And I think we all said it last week. And I think, Big T came to play. And, yeah.
What was your opinion of Joseph's workout?
The WAP dance?
I was literally in the kitchen, like making plates of food and like watching it in the living room. And I just looked up and was like, what the fuck is he doing?
I could work out more if I do that.
Yeah, 100 reps of that doesn't seem that hard. I was like, all right.
I know, right?
Is that all I need to do to get my tummy in check? Like, is that it? All right, Joseph. Show me the way, brother. Didn't pay off for him in the elimination challenge. Huh?
No, neither did his mustard, I guess.
Mustard.
CT's comment, like, what was it, Professor Kyle and Colonel Mustard in the bit with a hula hoop.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Joseph was a character, at least from what we got to see about him. He was way out of his element, though.
He surprised the hell out of me this episode, at least because I mean, he was like sleeping the first episode. And so at least we got to see a different side of him. And I was happy to see it. He was out of his depth completely in a lot of ways in this game. But he's one of them I wouldn't mind seeing back if he knew what he was coming into the next time and prepared in the offseason.
Yeah. They'll bring him back. He's a shit. They'll bring him back.
True.
And he's from America's Got Talent. And part of this, a lot of people forget it's a production. And so the more people you can bring in from multiple avenues, the better. The guy comes from America's Got Talent, so I'm sure
It's a huge show, so
yes.
I don't know how well he did.
I don't
Should
know.
have looked at it. I meant to look it up, but
I can look it up right now. He was eliminated in the quarterfinals.
That's pretty good. I mean, he was on the show for quite a while, I think.
Yeah, I think for that show, the quarterfinals is, at least top, 8?
Is he a dancer?
I think he was a singer.
No wonder he's out of his element. Another interesting dynamic in this episode. There was a lot of interesting dynamics between teams. This one, Lolo and Nam starting themselves as showmans. They're going to have some super babies, Meg.
I mean, who didn't see that coming?
Do you think this could hurt them, though, if they become a little... Because Lolo's a little unhinged at times.
She is. And this, I don't think it's going to backfire on them simply because I feel like they're already a huge target. They're one of the few teams I think people were grouping together as a team, like that sort of dynamic, more than the other teams because they have fewer other people to go to in the house. So I think by that nature, they're already a duo. So I think the romantic thing, it's kind of a cool spin. It's definitely not going to help them at all, take the target off of them. But I don't necessarily think it makes that much of a difference.
I was surprised that Kyle didn't pick Lolo, though, because wasn't he the one that made that comment earlier in the episode?
I thought he was, too.
Yeah.
I think Kyle was trying to do a smart thing without it being as smart as he thinks. I think Kyle's trying to kill that reputation of I'm dumb Kyle by making a move that it wasn't as smart as he thinks. Because I'm like, yo, bro, it's not a team game.
So now regarding the Big Brother alliance, they're kind of trying to play Big Brother, in my opinion, with this. Let's all rule the game. But once again, this only works in Big Brother. So why is Fessy? Fessy's in a great spot, or so it seems, but yet he's going to already be a target, probably. Even though I have a theory, but we'll get to that. But thoughts on the Big Brother alliance in general?
I think it would be in Fessy's best interest to tell the Big Brother alliance about the, what do they call it, that little room?
Where the votes are reviewed.
Yeah, because at least then they would understand his reasoning for going back on Kyle. And I mean, I think his reasoning was legit. And I think for where he was thinking, that was a good move for him to make. You can't trust this person. They're lying straight to your face. They need to go ASAP. But nobody knows why he did that. And it just looks like he's being super shady.
And it's going to come out. It's going to come out eventually anyway.
Yeah.
Later.
But if I were him, I would at least tell my BB crew, this is what's going on.
Fessy on Big Brother, anyway, was not the most strategic person, and he's clearly not a good communicator. But when you're trying to have these big alliances, you can't just play for yourself that early, can you, Fanga?
No, you can't. And Fessy look, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the movie Kickboxer starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm going to bring this one out of the woodworks. Okay.
Yes, I am.
So, needless to say, it's a movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme's a kickboxer. His brother, not too much spoilers here because it happens in the first 10 minutes. Brother gets crippled. He trains to be an ultimate fighter. Anyway, amidst that, he gets really drunk. And he has a bar scene where his shirt's all V-neck down. And he's dancing side to side. And he's just the ultimate ladies man. This dude is just killing it. And Fessy, straight out of that movie, in the scene in the bedroom, where he's just dancing and all the girls are just surrounding him. And Fessy's like the fucking man. So I think Fessy's gonna play that card, which he did on Big Brother. He cuddled up to the cute blonde on that show. I think on this show he's gonna play a similar. I think people are they're smarter on the challenge. They're not. It's not even the challenge versus Big Brother. They're smarter, but some of the people on this season of the challenge are smart enough to see right through that shit. And 100% too early to be Jean-Claude in the Kickboxer, the man on that level. So, but I do think on the same level, which is why I had him up, I think it showed just how powerful he is right now. And so did the competition, where no one wanted to fucking touch him. Nobody even wanted to drop a red thing in there, and you know it wasn't because of Anissa. So like he is commanding through fear. And
yeah, but speaking from experience, do you want to put yourself in that big leadership role right off the bat where, I mean, eventually people are going to stop handing him
I mean, I
shit?
think that's what's going to fuck Anissa very soon, though.
Yeah, 100%. But I don't think it's, like I said, it's different. It's because of the game dynamics, right? Ultimately, in this game, if you want to shut Fessy up, you got to go down there. And there's a chance that it could be.
Why did he not? I was so pissed. Why did he not?
Oh,
why
100%.
did he not put himself in?
I agree with you 100%. His best game move, once you see that looking arena,
yeah,
get down there.
And that's my theory. I don't think Fessy's going to be getting put in unless he puts himself in now. Because of the spot he put himself in, that's the only way he's getting a skull.
His little speech was bullshit. Oh, because you don't want to explain us the game before we play it. All you see is a pit and a ring. What do you think is going to happen?
With a stick on either side.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's one of the most obvious challenges.
Stupid.
There's not a whole lot of different ways. There's not a whole lot of different ways that game can go with that setup. There's a ring in the middle. There's a stick on each side.
And you're Fessy. You're fucking huge going against this kid that was like sleeping in the bar the first day. Yeah, and just like.
Come on, Fessy. But he is that feared. I mean, case in point, your theory. I mean, he is that feared. No one wants to fuck with him. And I think because of the game dynamic, that's why he's that feared. Nobody wants to end up picking him for Hall Brawl on accident without knowing the challenge. And that's the vote going into it. Now they got to run down the hall against this 300-pound behemoth. Nobody wants even to take that chance.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way somebody's going to take Fessy on is if it's a situation where they go in there and they can see it's a puzzle and they go, okay, and somebody like Devin is like, let me get my resume and take on Fessy. That's the only way anybody's going to fuck with him.
I agree. Also, in this episode, we have Wes trying to pitch that this big alliance needs him either at the bottom or at the top even. I do agree, though, that they need more strategic minds in this alliance because Cam can do it, but she's surrounded by Josh and Fessy and Anissa. Even Casey's not the biggest strategist, in my opinion. So any thoughts on Wes's pitch?
I fucking loved it.
Yeah,
I fucking loved it. But Wes is my favorite player, so it's not. I mean, like, it was funny to me because it's like it was a recollection of high school where like the popular dumb kids are kind of poking fun at the little smart kid who's giving them the plan, and they're just kind of like laughing at him. But really, what he's saying is 100% true. You should take him aboard as your janitor and like use him, but they're just kind of mocking him. And yeah, man, Wes is on point. Wes knows when Wes is good. Wes is just good. He's a good player.
That's the problem, though. That's what makes him a target, is because everybody knows he's a good player.
But you can use players like that. You really can. You can use them to a point and then realize you have to cut them at a certain point before they cut you. But those are the players that you can use. And I think the Meathead Alliance kind of they need somebody like that.
I agree. Any other thoughts on this big alliance or the Fessy and Anissa getting handed the challenge?
Fessy through fear, man.
It's all gonna fall apart soon.
Yeah. It's only a matter of moments before girls' elimination wins. He goes, I'll take Fessy. And then we'll see what happens, how Anissa fares from there.
Yeah, I think she's probably screwed sooner rather than later. Well, I guess we'll talk a little more about Kyle, since last week I said that these last 2 seasons he just sat in the background and didn't do shit. But tonight he was the one being the snake, even though he got caught because of the twist. I thought he was hilarious in the episode, so I have to eat a lot of crow. He had a good episode, but any other thoughts? Oh, and also you were right, Fan Guy, about him being in a challenge and being a beast. Even though Joshua put up a fight, he was more wrestling than trying to win. But any thoughts on Kyle in this episode?
I have a few. If you know, I mean, I'll go. Yeah, sure. Kyle is a beast. I I'm glad you're acknowledging that. He was, I think he learned a lot from Bananas. He's been tight with Bananas the past 3 or 4 seasons. They've worked super tight together every single one of his seasons. So I think even though he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, he has learned the game from one of the best to ever play it. And so I think, he is underrated. And I do think this was a pretty easy challenge for any of the guys of reasonable size to go down there and get their skull. So I don't think it was, I'm not going to say, Kyle, this was like the toughest. He went in there and had the toughest battle. No, bro, you probably had the biggest layup of the season, arguably. But he went in there and made it look like a layup. Like he didn't, you know what I mean? He didn't make it look hard or anything. So props to Kyle.
I think it looked like a layup. I think Joseph really gave it a good shot and a good fight. I mean, and but at the same time, if that's what it takes to like make Kyle puke after exerting himself so hard, like.
Well, I think he's just one of these UK people that love to drink, apparently. So if he was hungover, that could be why.
I assume it was a stomp because of the way the other house people were talking about it. So I'm thinking a lot of these challenges, a lot of it gets edited out, obviously, because they're just long as fuck.
Yeah, probably.
And this one, I think it was probably like the whole damn thing they showed. And that's why it was just like, they were like, yo, that was fast. Because a lot of these endurance ones, they go longer than this one probably did. But props to Kyle. And he is a gamer, man, because he learned from Bananas. So he's going to be lying, scheming the way Bananas did. It just so happens he doesn't know about the twist yet. So it backfired on him super early.
I'm kind of glad, though, because it kind of forces him to play harder, which I'm happy about, personally.
But what do you think, Nick? Do you think that the fact that they know there's 10 skulls is going to encourage people to go for skulls that people might already possess?
Depending on the person. Like Natalie, I kind of doubt it. But with Kyle, maybe, if they really do think he's so underrated.
That's what I'm wondering. Are people going to stay away from? This is what I'd ask Tim, Meg. You were out for a sec. Are people who have skulls, are they going to be bigger targets because they have skulls, or are people going to stay away from them because they have skulls? You know what I mean?
They're going to be bigger targets because if there's only 10, then there's only so many chances it's going to get to a point where you have to steal from somebody else.
Yeah, eventually they're going to have to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think Kyle could be one of those people that is going to be a target now because of that. Natalie, maybe not so much for a while.
Yeah. 100% agreed.
Any other thoughts on this episode in general that I didn't touch upon?
I mean, I think the biggest takeaways are just like Fessy's kind of a big pussy for not going into the elimination round. Big T made a good move. She's got herself in a better position than she was before. And yeah, I mean, did I say Kyle went up? I think maybe Kyle went down, actually.
I think you were leaning towards him going down.
Okay.
I do think we actually left out something that was rather significant, which was the house vote. Because I think it showed that Cam and Leroy maybe aren't in as much of power as I thought they were, and that clearly that maybe Kyle thinks they are, because they weren't on the majority of the house vote, if I remember it correctly. They wanted Wes to go in again, and the vote went for, the team it went for, Joseph and Big T. So I think that was just something extra was, because I thought that Cam and Leroy were in a lot more powerful spot than maybe they are in, because they weren't on the right side of the house vote.
You think that could have just been Joseph, though, shooting himself in the foot for that vote?
Yeah, I think they're still in a pretty good spot. And if anything, honestly, I think them not being in like the spotlight during this deliberation only helps them.
Touche. Being on the wrong side of the vote can be a good thing if people are going after people that are perceived to be on the powerful side.
Yeah.
Do you think this alliance is still going to be targeting CT and Wes? And how is Darrell getting the pass on this since he has more combined wins than the other two combined?
He keeps himself out of the drama, which is why. So people don't look to him as a threat right away. And I'm sorry, what was the first question. Yeah.
You think they're going to continue to target Wes and CT?
Yeah, I think they have to. I think once you, I mean, unless they can find a way this next episode to like come together and put the heat on somebody else and work jointly in that direction, I think they've made such a big to-do about this already that the lines are drawn.
Did you watch the preview for the next episode?
No, because I wanted to get the kids in bed before I had to be on this thing, so I couldn't watch previews. I did not have time for previews.
I think everyone's favorite idiot made himself out to be target numero uno.
Who, Josh?
Yeah. Apparently he's going to get in a fight with somebody this week. He's tearing off his shirt like the Hulk, looking like he just wants to just straight, you know.
He's just an idiot.
It's a Josh scene, so you know he's not actually going to swing on somebody, but
especially might swing on him.
He might throw a drink at somebody.
If it is another girls' challenge, will that put Natalie in danger again? Since you know it's her and Wes.
I don't really think so.
I don't think anybody wants to catch that smoke.
Yeah.
Not when you're one of the girls who might have to go in and battle her. Like, they don't want to fuck with that right now.
She might be put in as a double agent vote, but I don't think that she's going to get a House vote.
I don't think so either.
That.
We didn't really talk about the new team, so what about Big T? Can it put her in danger since she's now with CT?
I don't think so, just because she's politically pretty sound, and I think she's got a lot of heart, and people know she's I think, look, it's going to be the rookie girls that are tested next. You can almost bank on that. It's going to be Gabby. It's going to be the other British girl that I can't think of her name off the top of my head. It's going to be the other girl that I can't think of her name off the top of my head. I mean, I hate saying that. Like, I should know their names, but
hard.
I know Gabby because I got like I got the heart eyes every time she pops on the screen. But the other ones, I don't know. So yeah, I think those are both. Yeah. Nobody wants to fuck with Natalie. They're gonna want to fuck with Gabby and those other two, and that's how it's gonna go for the girls.
Going back to your question, Nick, I think that CT being with Big T now puts him in a better position and will not be looked at as big of a threat. And I think Ashley is really what made him. I mean, CT in of himself, he is a threat, right? He's like a challenge OG. He's been known to dominate. But in the past couple of seasons, he really hasn't held up to his name that much. And maybe he's in better shape this time around. But I don't think he's as big of a threat as he was, 6 years ago. And now he's got Big T as his partner. Ashley's not there anymore. I think if they're going to keep going after a big threat, it's going to be Wes and he's going to be able to slip kind of in the background.
I agree with that.
He might have the same problem Fessy does, honestly. He might have to throw himself in at this point to actually even get a shot to get one.
And I think that he would do that because CT has balls and Fessy doesn't.
If CT didn't have a skull and he saw that ring and knew he was going against the kid doing the ab crunches, and sleeping on the couch, CT would have gone and got his skull.
I think the majority of the guys would have done that. I think Corey would have done it. I think CT would have done it. I think Darrell would have done it.
I think Leo would have even done it.
And he probably would have won.
Leo would have won. Like Leo is one of them. Don't judge him by size unless he's going against a 300-pound dude.
The only ones who wouldn't have done it would be Leroy and
Josh.
And what's I can't ever remember his fucking name. He sucks. Corey.
Even though that would have been Josh's best opportunity to go get a skull too. Like, Josh, go step up and go get your skull. You're a big dude. You just go rip it from this kid.
Yeah, he's
would have been a good one for him.
He's a pussy too about that though. He's not gonna go down there. Leroy would have probably gone down there and get it. Leroy's there to win.
Maybe this season, not in past seasons. I don't think he would have put himself in that position, but maybe this year.
Kyle wouldn't have gone down there and volunteered himself. Guarantee you. Even though it would have been a good move for him, obviously, I don't think he wouldn't have stepped up and said, "Put me the fuck in," because he was pissed he got thrown in. Kyle, why are you pissed, bro? You just got the layup. Go get it. Go get it.
I guess the betrayal since he doesn't know the twist.
And the fact that having a skull doesn't make you safe, too. I mean, it really doesn't. Like, it's not like just because you have a skull, nobody's going to throw you back in just to take your skull. So,
yeah.
But if you're
having a skull is definitely a double-edged sword.
If you're one of the guys, you need to throw yourself in to get it, though. Otherwise,
yeah. There's only going to be so many times. Especially if they keep it girls, guys that don't go into the duo challenges.
My husband thinks they're gonna do a double elimination next time.
I hope so.
I predict they're gonna mix it up one of these times, or they might just do 2 girls in a row or 2 guys in a row just to fucking throw the game. Because
they have to. We talked about that last time too. They have to. It's too easily like manipulated if they know.
Yeah. And I definitely want some duo challenges.
A double is the same thing. That's just as good as a switching it up, because that is switching it up. Now nobody feels safe.
Yeah, because they could get rid of. They could do the girls next time, and then he can be like, "All right, guys, let's go."
Dude, it will be a team this week, right? That makes sense. It makes fucking sense, like when you think about it, because if they go like guys, girls, team, even if they do it that way, guys, girls, team, you know,
I would like that. Any other thoughts on any of these other new teams, Kyle and Cam or Nany and Josh?
Nany and Josh are going to be a shit show.
Judging by the preview, Josh is. I hope she's drunk too, so that she could be as well.
This is clearly where Josh and CT get into their little spat that they've been showing. I guess it's going to happen because they go back to the house and Josh is salty about the partner swap, but it wasn't CT.
I know.
Josh is fucking.
But why is he so salty about the partner swap?
Well, CT was pushing his buttons in this episode, probably purposefully.
It's because he's shown himself to be weak emotionally, and if you can, if you're in a game like this and you find yourself, you can find a way. And I've been learning this actually watching Sequester, like the earlier seasons of Sequester a lot. If you could just find a way to paint a target on somebody, like even if it's the most asinine bullshit way to do it, just do it. And that's what CT's doing. He's like, I know this monkey is going to jump if I just keep doing this. And that, keeps the target off of him. So I think it could be really calculated. But Josh is just kind of a joke.
I don't watch Sequester. What channel is that on?
It's a YouTube show like ours, except it's, popular.
They got a nice ass house to host it at too. So that's fucking pop. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to get off track. Check it out if you got free. I know you don't have much free time, Meg, but if you're just bullshitting on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty cool. And there's a new season out right now.
Loads of free time. I've watched 10 years of Grey's Anatomy in the past month.
I went jet skiing with McDreamy. I don't know if we ever got to talk about that.
No, you did not.
Swear to God. We had beers. I called him Loverboy because I knew him from the 1980 whatever movie, Loverboy, where he's like the gigolo who delivers pizzas. And I'm not a Grey's Anatomy fan, so he cracked up because apparently he's got a lake house on Lake Jackson, Texas. Who'd have knew? That was my girlfriend's grandparents at the time. So anyway, yeah, we run into him on the lake and jet skis, and I'm like, fucking Loverboy. And he just started cracking up. He goes, bro. He's like, most people like are all in the Grey's Anatomy. And he's like, oh, I haven't been called Loverboy ever in my life. And we just were riding jet skis, had a couple beers. Cool dude. People talk a lot of shit on that dude and say he's a shithead. I'm telling you, he's not. To me, to some people.
I don't believe he's a shithead. But that's an amazing story.
Yeah. One of 2 celebrities I met in my life.
Who's the other one?
Dave Chappelle.
Oh, nice.
That was actually at a casino gym in Ohio.
Wow.
311 picked me up off the Pennsylvania Turnpike in their tour bus.
Oh,
I did Coronas with them at 10 o'clock in the morning.
That's epic. Beautiful Disaster. And then they wrote a song called Beautiful Disaster about her.
Oh, yeah.
Man. I waved at the old wrestler Scott Hall once a long time ago. That was the only person I ever came close to being that was famous.
Yo, Chico.
Yeah. One more thing I wanted to note about this episode. I almost put him up. He wasn't in it a lot, but I feel like Jay is playing a really underrated social game right now that could be good for him, especially compared to last season, I guess.
Yeah, I think the best thing for him to do is keep going on the way that he's going now. I mean, last season he was way too much like on the front lines.
He's one of them I don't want to see get caught up in a partner elimination, as bad as that sounds. I'd rather see Jay be able to go in there and defend himself. I don't want to see him tied to Teresa if they go on a team challenge. That's the one thing about Jay. I'm worried about that.
You guys want Days isn't here. This is his thing, but do you guys want to make any predictions for the next episode?
I think they're going to try to send a weak girl in, whether there's a twist and it turns out to be a team elimination or not. I hope there is personally, but I do believe that the target this week from the house vote will be a weak girl. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll likely be Gabby and Leo.
Yeah, they've been a kind of a target, kind of not, I guess. There's also the other, what's Michi's partner?
Yeah, I was just about to say, who's Michi with?
That's one of the
Liv.
girls.
They might too, and he kind of showed. I mean, he kind of fell out in the water today, so I think that might hurt him.
Well, that's going to hurt him a lot, but they don't think this is a guy's week, so I don't know if it'll hurt him this vote, but it might hurt him next vote. But if there's anybody in the house going, who it might be a team thing, well, he's with a weak girl, and then that'll definitely be the fucking house vote.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, any final thoughts on this episode?
It's a good episode. Season looks good.
It was. I'm glad Kyle woke up and entertained me.
He's not that bad. I was telling you, he's not that bad.
There are worse people than Kyle.
There are. I guess last season he was just so boring that I didn't want to see him again.
I think he gets lost in the Bananas thing. I really do. I think it's because he's tied to Bananas so closely every season, and Bananas is always highlighted every season that he's on there.
Yeah, true.
That it's easy to get lost as his like lieutenant governor, like sort of thing.
Yeah.
He's still dumb as a rock, though.
I think he tries to be. So he was kind of smart at times. If this was a duo game, he would have made a good choice out there with Cam. But he probably fucked himself even harder. Guess we'll find out. Well, that's all I have this week. I want to wish you both a Merry Christmas since that will be coming up next week.